my name is Johan. I started with a video on a gear cutter and then ran out of battery as I was starting to do the milling. So this is just a catch-up video to show you guys what happened on the milling. I'm going to take you over to the workbench and then show you how the milling turned out. Okay, this is the cutter after it's been milled. What I did was I set it up as shown on the milling machine, the lathe with the milling attachment. Found center. This is the milling end mill that I used. It's a 6mm solid carbide end mill. So I found center using my center finder, and then since this is 6mm, I moved it 3mm that way, which put the edge of the mill right on the center line. And then I started milling back and forth, each time going down by initially about 0.5 millimeter, eventually ended up taking 1mm bites at a time, just testing the setup and trying to not go too fast and too deep at a time in the beginning. And then once I reached final depth, which is about 7mm, I just moved the mill about I think about 0.2 or so of a millimeter that way, and took another run, just cleaned off that wall to make sure that a 6mm cutter will fit in there and not be too tight. Then I moved the mill 6mm that way, so then the mill was right on the edge of that groove. And then I think I decided to leave another 5mm, so I moved it that way another 5mm. That also happened to leave just enough so that the milling cutter could take it all in one sweep. Well, not in one sweep depth wise, but at least I didn't have to go this way. And so then again I took it down 1mm at a time until I reached the same depth. Then to clean up the burr, I wanted to keep sharp edges, but not so sharp that it would cut you with the burr, so I took it, put it on a wire wheel, and it actually deburred quite nicely. The edges are still sharp, so they don't look rounded, but it's actually taken off all the burr. And then the finish of the milling operation, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's more than good enough for what I'm doing here. I did take the cutter head and took some pictures, some close-up pictures with a digital microscope connected to a PC and also with my iPhone, so I'll use those in the video as well and just show that. And I think it will show some close-ups of the finish of the milling surface as well as the turning. And then I think lastly, just a comment worth making is I took my GoPro camera's underwater housing and drilled a hole in where the microphone is, so hopefully the audio will be quite a bit better than on the previous videos.